Hey! This is Six Path Weeb. Today's exploration ventures beyond canon into the realm of speculative narrative. What if Naruko was trained by the strongest deity? In a universe where destiny is often shaped by hardship, mentorship becomes the silent architect of power. But what happens when that mentorship transcends mortal limits, when a being of absolute knowledge and unfathomable strength takes the role of a guide? Would Naruko merely grow stronger, or would she redefine the very concept of shinobi existence? This is not just a reimagining of power, but a study of potential, identity, and the consequences of divine intervention in a human world. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let us begin. The date was October 10th in the peaceful village of Kanahagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. The air was crisp, and golden leaves drifted gently through the streets, painting the village in warm autumn colors. It had been 9 years since a great and frightening event had shaken the village, a time that many remembered with quiet reflection. On that same day, 9 years ago, a child had been born. Her name was Naruko Uzumaki. Naruko's parents, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, loved her very much. They were kind and brave people who believed deeply in protecting others and doing what was right. When danger came to the village long ago, they made a difficult choice to ensure everyone would be safe, especially their newborn daughter. Because of that choice, Naruko grew up carrying a special and mysterious power inside her. As the years passed, Naruko became known throughout the village. Some people didn't understand her, and because of that, they kept their distance. But Naruko didn't let that stop her. She smiled brightly, laughed loudly, and always tried to make others happy, even when she felt lonely. She loved watching the Hokage monument, dreaming of one day becoming a great leader herself. "I'll make everyone smile," she would say, placing her hands on her hips with determination. "And I'll protect the village too." High above the clouds, beyond what ordinary eyes could see, a gentle and wise being named Kami watched over the world. She often observed Naruko with a thoughtful expression. "That child has such a strong heart," Kami said softly. "Even when life is difficult, she chooses kindness." Kami wished she could help Naruko more directly, but there were rules that even she had to follow. Still, on this particular day, something unusual happened. A soft glow appeared beside her, and a messenger spoke kindly. "Kami, you are being called by Jinso." Kami nodded and stepped forward. In an instant, she found herself in a bright and peaceful hall filled with light. At its center stood Jinso, a calm and thoughtful presence who watched over all things. "You've been watching Naruko," Jinso said gently. "Yes," Kami replied. "She is brave and kind, even when she feels alone. I wish there were a way to ease her journey." Jinso smiled slightly. "Sometimes, the greatest strength comes not from removing challenges, but from growing through them. Naruko's story is still unfolding, and she has already shown remarkable courage." Kami listened carefully. "I will not change her path," Jinso continued, "but I will make sure she is never truly alone. There are people in her life, friends she has yet to meet, who will see her for who she truly is." Back in the village, Naruko sat on a swing beneath a tall tree, watching other children play. For a moment, she felt a small ache in her heart, but then she took a deep breath and smiled. "I'll make friends someday," she said to herself. "I just have to keep trying." At that very moment, a breeze rustled the leaves around her, warm and comforting, as if the world itself was cheering her on. Naruko stood up, brushed off her clothes, and ran forward with renewed energy. Her story was only just beginning, and it was filled with hope, friendship, and the promise of brighter days ahead. Down on Earth, a gentle tale of Naruko. Naruko Uzumaki was not having the best day. First, she caught her sleeve on a tiny nail sticking out of a wooden post, and it made a little tear in her jacket. Then, while hurrying along the street, she slipped and landed in a soft patch of mud, splashing her sandals and leaving smudges on her cheeks. She laughed a little at herself, but her stomach gave a loud rumble that reminded her why she had been in such a hurry. Ramen. Her favorite place in the whole village. But when Naruko finally reached the stand, she found a small sign hanging gently from the entrance. It explained that Ayame was feeling unwell, and Tucci had closed the shop for a few days to take care of her. Naruko stood there for a moment, her shoulders drooping. She hoped Ayame would feel better soon. With a quiet sigh, she turned and wandered down a side street, unsure what to do next. The village felt a little colder that day, though the sun was still shining above. Naruko sat down in a quiet alleyway, hugging her knees. She didn't cry. Instead, she took a deep breath and tried to think of something cheerful. She remembered how Ayame always smiled when serving ramen, and how Tucci would laugh at her big appetite. That memory warmed her heart. Maybe tomorrow will be better, she whispered to herself. Just then, a soft breeze drifted through the alley, carrying with it a gentle glow. Naruko blinked and looked up. Standing nearby was a tall, kind-looking young man with warm brown hair and calm eyes. There was something comforting about him, like the feeling of sunlight after a cloudy morning. "You seem like you've had quite a day," he said gently. Naruko nodded. "It wasn't great. But I think it will get better." The young man smiled, clearly impressed. "That's a wonderful way to think." Before Naruko could ask who he was, she felt another presence beside her. A graceful woman with shining silver hair knelt down and looked at her with kindness. "My name is Kami," the woman said softly. "And you must be Naruko." Naruko tilted her head. "How do you know my name?" Kami simply smiled. "We've been watching over you for a while. You have a very bright spirit." Naruko blinked in surprise. "Me?" The brown-haired young man stepped closer. "Yes. Even on a difficult day, you chose hope instead of sadness. That's something very special." Naruko felt a warm glow in her chest, as if their words were wrapping around her like a cozy blanket. "We wanted to give you something," Kami said. "A gift," the young man added. Naruko's eyes widened. "A gift? For me?" He nodded. "Something that will help you grow, learn, and shine even brighter." Kami gently placed her hand over Naruko's. A soft light shimmered between them, warm and comforting, like sunlight dancing on water. "This is a special ability," Kami explained. "It will help you understand yourself and the world around you. But the most important part is already inside you, your kindness, your courage, and your heart." Naruko smiled, feeling a new sense of energy and happiness bloom within her. "Thank you," she said sincerely. The young man nodded. "Use it well, Naruko. And remember, even small moments of hope can light the way forward." As quickly as they had appeared, the two figures began to fade into the gentle glow. "Wait!" Naruko called. "Will I see you again?" Kami's voice echoed softly, "Whenever you choose kindness, we are never far away." The alley felt quiet again, but not lonely. Naruko stood up, brushing the mud from her clothes. Her day hadn't gone as planned, but somehow, it had turned into something meaningful. With a bright smile, she stepped back into the village, ready to find something new to look forward to. And this time, her stomach growled again, but she just laughed. "Maybe I'll try cooking something myself," she said, already imagining the adventure ahead. High above the village, in a quiet and glowing chamber, the wise leader Hiruzen Sarutobi listened carefully. Before him stood a being of immense presence, Jinso, whose voice carried both warmth and power. "I will offer the child many gifts to guide her path," Jinso said gently, though his tone still held authority. "But in return, I ask something of you." Hiruzen nodded, a little overwhelmed. It was not every day that someone so extraordinary asked for his help. "Care for your village with stronger resolve," Jinso continued. "Lead with wisdom and kindness, and ensure that every child, especially this one, is treated with fairness and respect." Hiruzen bowed his head. "I understand." At that moment, a small voice stirred. "Where am I?" Naruko asked softly, blinking her bright eyes as she looked around. "You are safe, Naruko," said a kind, silver-haired woman beside her, smiling warmly. Naruko sat up and gasped. You're Kami." The woman chuckled softly, but Jinso stepped forward. "There is no need to bow, little one. You have already shown great strength." Naruko tilted her head, studying him curiously. "Who are you? You don't seem like an ordinary person." Jinso laughed, his voice echoing like a bell. "My name is Jinso. And I have been around for a very long time." Naruko thought for a moment, then nodded. "That makes sense. A lot of strange things already happen in my life." Hiruzen watched quietly, amazed at how calm and thoughtful she was. Jinso knelt down to her level. "Naruko, would you like to come with me for a little while? I have something special to show you." Her eyes sparkled. "Really?" "Yes." In a flash of light, they vanished. They reappeared in a cozy and unusual room. It looked like a mix between a resting place and a playroom, filled with curious objects Naruko had never seen before. "Is this your room?" she asked in wonder. "Yes," Jinso replied. "This is where I relax." He showed her a magical screen that displayed moving images and adventures. Naruko watched in awe as a hero rode across fields and explored mysterious lands. That's amazing, she said. Can I try? Another time, Jinso said kindly. For now, I have gifts for you. He handed her a beautiful blade. It shimmered softly. This is a special weapon, he explained. It can change its form depending on what you imagine. But remember, it is meant to protect and create, not to harm. Naruko held it carefully, feeling its gentle energy. I'll take good care of it. Next, Jinso called out softly. A tiny fox with 3 tails appeared and happily nuzzled Naruko. She will be your companion, Jinso said. Naruko giggled as the fox curled up in her arms. I'll name her Megumi. Because meeting her feels like a blessing. Kami clapped her hands with delight. That's a perfect name. Finally, Jinso spoke again. Naruko, I have one last gift. I will grant you a rare ability, the power to connect with shadows. Naruko's eyes widened. Shadows? Like moving them? Yes, Jinso said. You will be able to feel them and guide them. But remember, power is not what makes someone special. It is how they use it. Naruko nodded firmly. I won't let it change who I am. I'll just keep trying my best. Jinso smiled, clearly pleased. That is exactly why you are worthy of it. Naruko hugged Megumi close, her heart full of excitement and hope. She knew her journey was just beginning, but she also knew she would never walk it alone. Now then, this might feel a little strange, but it will be over quickly, Jinso said kindly. He gently tapped 2 fingers to Naruko's forehead. A soft, shadowy glow shimmered like moonlight, weaving through her in a quiet, magical way. Naruko squeezed her eyes shut, holding her breath as the warmth passed through her. Just as quickly as it began, it was over. There we go, Jinso said with a reassuring smile. All done. Naruko blinked, then grinned. That felt weird. But also kind of amazing. Jinso chuckled. Now for your last gift. With a small flourish, he brought out a large scroll. It looked ancient, with swirling designs that seemed to shimmer when the light touched them. Naruko, this is a very special summoning contract, one connected to dragons, he explained gently. No one has signed it before. I was waiting for someone with a kind and brave heart, just like yours. Naruko's eyes widened with wonder. Dragons? Really? Really, Jinso said. To sign it, just place your name on the scroll and press your hand beside it. Think of it as a promise between you and the dragons. Naruko nodded eagerly. She followed his instructions, and as soon as she finished, her name glowed softly, as if the scroll itself welcomed her. Jinso's expression turned thoughtful. If you ever meet the great dragon Bahamut, remember this, dragons value courage. You don't need to be fearless, just believe in yourself. Naruko placed a hand on her chest. I will. I promise. Well then, Jinso said, clapping his hands once, how about we go visit the Hokage again? Naruko's face lit up. Yes. Moments later, a magnificent red dragon appeared, its scales gleaming like polished jewels. Jinso helped Naruko climb onto its back, and with a powerful beat of its wings, they soared into the sky. Woo woo! Naruko cheered, her laughter carried by the wind. Dash. Council room. Inside the Hokage's council room, the atmosphere was quiet, perhaps a little too quiet. We seem to be waiting, said the Hokage calmly, though his patience was wearing thin. Just then. Woo woo! Crash. Everyone looked up in surprise as a large red dragon made an unexpected entrance through the ceiling. Bits of dust floated down like confetti as Naruko and Jinso landed safely on the floor. Naruko stood up first, brushing herself off with a giggle. That was awesome. Jinso crossed his arms, trying to look serious but failing to hide a small smile. Akira, I did say to land on the roof. A voice echoed softly as the dragon disappeared, sorry. I'll get it right next time. The room fell silent as everyone stared. Jinso raised a hand in greeting. Hello. The simplicity of his greeting made the moment oddly amusing, and a few people blinked in confusion. The Hokage cleared his throat. Well. It seems our guests have arrived. Did you enjoy your trip, Naruko? Naruko beamed. I got to fly on a dragon. Of course I did. Jinso rubbed the back of his head. I suppose we'll need to help fix the roof later. The Hokage sighed, though there was a hint of a smile. Yes. We will discuss that. Then Jinso's expression grew serious, though still calm and kind. I've seen how Naruko has been treated, he said quietly. She's a bright, kind child, and she deserves to feel safe and cared for. The room grew thoughtful. So from now on, he continued, I'll be looking out for her. Not because I have to, but because it's the right thing to do. Naruko looked up at him, surprised, then smiled warmly. One of the council members adjusted their glasses. Does that mean you will remain in the village? Jinso gave a small, playful grin. I never said I was leaving. The Hokage nodded. In that case, we should learn more about your abilities. Perhaps a friendly spar tomorrow? Jinso shrugged lightly. Sounds good. Naruko stretched and yawned. Can we get some rest now? Today was a big day. Jinso laughed softly. I think that's a wonderful idea. Together, they left the room, their footsteps echoing gently behind them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then one council member sighed and said, well, that was certainly unexpected. But somewhere in the room, there was also a quiet sense that something good had just begun. With the trio. So, Naruko, do you want to stay at your apartment tonight? I could probably find us another place if you'd like, Kami offered gently. Naruko shook her head, her bright blonde hair swaying. No, it's okay. I'll stay at my place. It's small, but it's home. Besides, I don't have enough money for anything fancy. Kami smiled kindly and gave Naruko a reassuring hug. Jinso stood nearby, noticing a few curious stares from passers-by. With a playful grin, he whispered, let's make things a little less awkward. With a simple illusion, he made it seem like two very energetic athletes were jogging past in bright, silly outfits. People blinked in confusion, then laughed and turned their attention elsewhere. Naruko giggled. You always find a funny way to fix things. The next morning. Golden sunlight streamed through the window as Naruko woke up. She stretched and walked into the kitchen, where Kami was happily cooking breakfast, and Jinso sat at the table sipping tea. Good morning, little sis, Jinso said warmly. Did you sleep well? Naruko nodded with a cheerful smile. Yeah. Better than I have in a long time. Perfect timing, Kami said as she placed a plate of pancakes, eggs, and juice in front of her. Breakfast is ready. Naruko ate quickly, enjoying every bite. Then she glanced at the clock and gasped. Oh no. I'm going to be late for class. Jinso stood up calmly and placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry. I've got you. In an instant, Naruko found herself standing right in front of the academy gates. Whoa. That was amazing, she said, eyes sparkling. Jinso chuckled. Now go on, have a great day, and remember to believe in yourself. Naruko grinned. I will. A new look, a new confidence. Naruko stepped into the classroom, wearing a beautiful outfit, a white hakama with gold trim over a black kimono decorated with a silver fox symbol. Her new look reflected her growing confidence. Her classmates turned in surprise. Wait. Naruko? One of them asked. Naruko smiled brightly. Yep. It's me. Some students were amazed at how much she had grown, not just in appearance, but in confidence too. She walked to the back of the room and sat beside Hinata, who greeted her shyly. Hi, Naruko, Hinata said softly. Naruko smiled warmly. Good morning, Hinata. It's nice to see you. Hinata blushed, feeling encouraged by Naruko's kindness. A lesson in kindness. As the class settled, a few students whispered among themselves. One of them spoke a little too loudly and said something unkind about Naruko's past. The room grew quiet. Naruko paused, taking a deep breath. Instead of reacting with anger, she stood tall. My past doesn't define who I am, she said calmly. What matters is who I choose to be, and I choose to keep moving forward. Her words surprised everyone. Just then, the classroom door opened, and a new teacher entered with an energetic step. Good morning, everyone. I'm Keiji-sensei, Jinso announced with a friendly grin. I'll be helping out in your class. Iruka-sensei nodded approvingly. Let's all do our best to learn and support each other. Keiji-sensei looked around the room and added, remember, a strong ninja isn't just skilled, they're kind, too. Naruko smiled, feeling proud. Hinata smiled as well, inspired by Naruko's courage. A bright beginning. That day marked a new chapter for Naruko. With friends by her side and a heart full of determination, she knew she could face anything. And no matter what challenges came her way, she would always choose kindness, courage, and hope. Because that's what made her truly strong. Jinso turned back to the class. Does that answer your question? He asked. Shikamaru Nara simply rested her head on the desk, mumbling about troublesome blondes and their unpredictable adventures. Now then, if there are no more questions, let's begin the lesson, Jinso said with a slightly mischievous smile. 3 years later. The day of team placements had finally arrived. Over the past 3 years at the academy, the students had grown, learned new skills, and discovered more about themselves. They had formed friendships, faced challenges, and become stronger, not just in ability, but in heart. At the back of the classroom, Naruko Uzumaki rested her chin on her hand, her bright eyes full of curiosity. She had changed a lot, but her cheerful spirit remained just as lively as ever. "All right, here are your teams," the instructor announced. Naruko leaned forward slightly, listening. Team 7, Uzumaki Naruko, Uchiha Sasuke, and Hyuga Hinata. A wave of whispers spread across the room. Some students were surprised, others excited. Naruko blinked once, then smiled. "Looks like we're a team, huh?" Hinata Hyuga gave a shy but happy nod, while Sasuke Uchiha simply crossed his arms, calm and composed. Their teacher continued assigning the remaining teams, and soon the classroom began to empty as students left to meet their instructors. Waiting for their teacher. Time passed. And passed. And passed. Naruko tapped her finger thoughtfully against her chin. "You know, I have a feeling our teacher might be late." Sasuke sighed. "That's an understatement." Hinata smiled softly. "Maybe we should wait just a little longer?" Naruko suddenly grinned. "Or, we could make things more interesting." With a quick scribble, she wrote a note and placed it carefully on the desk. "Come on," she said. "Let's head to the roof." A playful surprise. A short while later, their teacher, Kakashi Hatake, stepped into the empty classroom. Looks like I'm late," she murmured, noticing the silence. Then she spotted the note. She picked it up and read. "Dear Sensei. Look behind you. Team 7. P.S. We're on the roof." Kakashi raised an eyebrow and slowly turned around. At that exact moment, a harmless puff of colorful chalk dust burst gently into the air, scattering soft clouds of pink and blue. She blinked. "Well played." On the roof. Up on the rooftop, Naruko, Sasuke, and Hinata sat together, enjoying the gentle breeze. Kakashi soon joined them, brushing a bit of chalk dust off her shoulder. "I see you three have a sense of humor," she said. Naruko smiled brightly. "You shouldn't keep your team waiting." Kakashi chuckled. "Fair enough. Let's start with introductions." The three students gathered in front of her. "All right," Kakashi said. "Tell me about yourselves, your likes, dislikes, and dreams." Naruko stepped forward first. "My name is Uzumaki Naruko," she said proudly. "I like spending time with my friends, especially Hinata. I love ramen, sunny days, and learning new things. I don't like when people are unkind to others. And my dream." She paused, her eyes shining. "My dream is to become someone who protects everyone and brings smiles wherever I go." Hinata clasped her hands gently, clearly inspired. Sasuke gave a small nod of respect. Kakashi smiled warmly. "That's a wonderful goal." A mysterious light. Just then, something unusual caught Naruko's attention. "Hey! What's that?" she asked, pointing toward the air nearby. A soft, glowing oval shimmered into view, like a doorway made of light. It pulsed gently, casting a warm glow across the rooftop. Kakashi narrowed her eyes. "That's not something you see every day." Naruko stepped closer, her curiosity shining brighter than ever. Somewhere, far away, a familiar voice seemed to echo faintly. "Naruko, be careful." But Naruko reached out her hand. The moment her fingers touched the glowing light, a gentle flash surrounded her, and she vanished. "Naruko!" Hinata called, stepping forward. Before anyone could react further, another figure appeared, Jinso. He looked at the fading light and sighed. "She found it, didn't she?" Turning to Kakashi, he gave a small, knowing smile. "Don't worry. She'll be all right." With that, he stepped into the glowing portal just as it closed. On the other side of the portal, Naruko and Jinso tumbled gently onto a soft, grassy field. At the center stood a magnificent cherry blossom tree, its petals drifting through the air like pink snow. Jinso sat up, brushing leaves from his clothes. "Naruko, when I say don't touch something mysterious, it's usually a good idea to listen. Naruko stood, rubbing the back of her head with a sheepish smile. Sorry. You know me, I get curious. Jinso gave a small sigh, though there was a hint of amusement in his eyes. Yes, I do. They both looked around. The air shimmered faintly, and nearby, glowing scrolls floated lazily, each accompanied by 2 tiny flickers of light. Naruko tilted her head. So, where are we, big brother? Jinso studied the scene carefully. He raised a finger to the air as if testing an invisible breeze, then lowered it slowly. His expression turned thoughtful. We're somewhere unusual, he said. It feels like a story brought to life. Naruko blinked. A story? Like a game? Something like that. Just then, one of the glowing scrolls drifted closer, wobbling gently as if it were curious about them. Jinso stepped forward calmly. Stay back, Naruko. She hesitated. Why? Because we don't know what it might do. Let me take a look first. Naruko nodded and hopped back behind a nearby rock, peeking over the top. The scroll opened with a soft shimmer, and from it emerged 3 tiny blue creatures with wide eyes and playful grins. They hovered in the air, chattering softly among themselves. Oh. Visitors. One of them said in a squeaky voice. Jinso relaxed slightly, realizing they weren't dangerous. He smiled kindly. Hello there. The little creatures circled him curiously, then drifted away, giggling as they returned to the scroll, which gently closed again. Naruko popped up from behind the rock. That wasn't scary at all. Jinso chuckled. Not everything mysterious is meant to be feared. Just then, a white wolf with glowing red markings came running across the field, graceful and bright like sunlight itself. Perched on her head was a tiny green figure no bigger than Naruko's hand. The tiny figure pointed. Hey! Who are you two? Naruko stepped forward, her eyes wide with wonder. Wow! You're amazing. Jinso nodded politely. We mean no harm. We're just travelers. The tiny figure crossed his arms. Humph. I'm Ishun, and this is Amaterasu. Naruko smiled warmly. Nice to meet you. I'm Naruko, and this is Jinso. Amaterasu wagged her tail gently, her eyes kind and wise. Jinso glanced at Ishun. You're on an important journey, aren't you? Ishun blinked in surprise. Hey, how did you know that? Jinso gave a small, knowing smile. Let's just say, I pay attention to stories. Before Ishun could respond, a voice rang out dramatically from above. Hark! The call of the heavens, the earth, and the sea summons me. A colorful figure landed gracefully on a branch of the cherry blossom tree. I am Waka, a traveler of destiny. Bonjour. Naruko looked up, blinking in surprise. Wow, everyone here is so interesting. Jinso closed his eyes briefly, then opened them with a calm expression. Yes. Very interesting indeed. Waka leapt down lightly, twirling with flair. Ah. New friends. What a delightful gathering. Naruko giggled. This really does feel like a story. Amaterasu barked softly in agreement, her tail swishing. Jinso looked around at the glowing scrolls, the drifting petals, and their new companions. A small smile appeared on his face. Then let's make it a good one, he said. Naruko nodded eagerly. The best one. And beneath the cherry blossom tree, in a world that felt like a dream, their adventure began, not with danger, but with curiosity, friendship, and the promise of something wonderful waiting just ahead. Alright, that's where we bring this chapter to a close. What started as an idea has now taken shape, and every step along the way has been part of something bigger than it first seemed. There's always more beneath the surface, more to uncover, and more to build, and this is just one point in that ongoing journey. If you've been following along, you already know this isn't the end. It's a pause, a moment to reflect before moving forward with something even more refined, more ambitious, and more intentional. The road ahead holds new perspectives, deeper dives, and a continuation of everything we've started here. Stay tuned, because what comes next won't just follow this, it will elevate it. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.